everybody. Braden Arbor back again with for MMA Island, and I'm visited today by the one and only Brad Katona. Um, Thank you so much for being here. How's everything going?
Everything's going good. As you can see, I'm at the gym, just in between training sessions today. So I'm happy to be doing the interview, especially off of another good practice, which seems to be the theme this camp.
Perfect. That's amazing to hear. Just to get right into it, obviously the news now is your big title fight coming up next month. Last year, the news that came out about you was that you signed the new multi-fight deal with Brave Combat Federation. I was curious, when you signed that deal, was the idea that the title coming next, was that on the table already? Was that part of the
You
discussions?
know, there was nothing in like a deal being like, okay, you sign on and you'll be fighting for the belt. Uh, I guess I had to go out there and earn it. I think with my first fight at Brave 50, I was going in there thinking, okay, I got a good stoppage. Belts belts probably next, and I had to do one more, so I had to take on another top contender, which seems to be the theme of my career as well. And so I did that, and then even then, it wasn't there was no guarantees, and I was pushing to be fighting for Brave, and there was no next opportunity, and then it was the belt. So I was very excited about that, against a very tough and game opponent. But it's exciting. I'm very excited for
Absolutely. Um, so one of the things that's really interesting about this fight that you have coming up, obviously it's not just a regular event in its own sake, like most Brave combat cards. It's part of like this overall, um, like the combat week. Um, the fact that the combat week is in Biran, and obviously you're fighting Hamza Kooheji, who is sort of like a hometown hero there, one of the biggest fighters out of Bahrain. Does that change anything in the preparation, that like the mental aspect of it, that you're kind of going in with?
it. It doesn't really change anything in the preparation, but you have to be aware of maybe the energy that you might feel fight week and fight night. Obviously you're going into uh, enemy territory in some ways. They were very welcoming to me at Brave 50, and all of the Brave staff have been very welcoming to me my entire uh, two fights and entering this one. So I don't think anything for the staff necessarily, but obviously fight camp, or fight night. I mean, there's probably going to be some energy his way and energy against me, and that's fine. So it doesn't really change anything in the preparation, but it's something to be mindful of, to be heading in there not expecting maybe a big pop when I go out. It's one where I'm kind of prepared for any and all uh circumstances. Either it's silent, which is in this COVID world, I'm no stranger to now. So it's either going to be silent, they're either going to be booing me, or they're either going to be cheering me. And I'm familiar with all three of those. So it will have very little effect on me, because I'm foreseeing it as well. And who knows? Fight week, I don't see the people of Bahrain being really aggressive towards me. Like that would be the only thing that would be concerning. If there was a safety issue. But besides that, they're fans of MMA, so I'm going into a country where they're diehard MMA fans, and that's exciting.
For sure. And then also kind of surrounding that week as well, obviously there's all these other sort of festivities and events surrounding the your card. One of the things is that the Super Cup is going on. Um, Obviously you're Canadian, Canada.
Yes.
Um, but you're with SBG, you have a lot of Irish training partners around you. And you have Team Ireland fighting in that thing as well. Are you and your team going to be sort of paying attention to all the things surrounding the fight week, or is that all just kind of noise you have to figure out how to block out?
We can use it as an exciting distraction, because fight week can be long, and it can be tough. This fight week shouldn't be. It should be fairly exciting, especially with the world title fight, and all the preparation we've done on the back end usually leads to fight week being quite exciting. Uh, but it can be nice, distraction. Having the whole fight, whole Super Cup on, and being able to watch that. With that said, we're going in there as kind of businessmen. We're there to come home with the belt. So that's kind of our approach into it. So it is nice that we're capping off an exciting week of MMA, but at the same time, that's in context of our own goals. We're not just going there, you know, because it's fun and we're going there to compete because we enjoy it. We're going in there because this is about legacy, and I want that brave belt.
For sure. Um, you kind of said something interesting there that I was gonna ask this question later on, but I think this is a good segue. You said that you go in there like businessmen. I was watching another interview with you from, I'm not sure exactly which fight it was from, but it was like a pre-fight sort of interview thing. And you said that you're different because you didn't come from like this rough, tough, like troubled background. You know, you had a good family, good support system, good upbringing. And you don't see that sort of like aggressive chip on your shoulder that a lot of fighters come into their MMA careers with. Um, so when you come into a fight, is it sort of like this business thing? Do you go to a different place mentally when you like check into the fight? What's your like uh I don't know, I guess mental motivation like when you're actually stepping into the cage?
Uh, yeah, good question. I fight because I love I love the competition, and I love the sport, and I love just competing. Like I'm a competitor at heart. MMA is something that I can do at a world class level, and few people can say that. And so I feel like I should be trying to make the best of physical gifts, skills, even circumstance of being surrounded by a good team at an early age. So that's all kind of in the back, and my mental state entering the cage itself is it's for me. Like this is for me. People fight for other things, for money and all of that. um, quite frankly, if it was all about money, I think there's easier things to do than try to be a prize fighter. It's extremely risky. It's not the best for your health, and it's it's a lot to do with luck and circumstance. I guess like anything else. But I remind myself entering in that this is for me. This is what I love, and to really be present in the moment and enjoy it. It's when I do that, I'm then free, and when I'm free, I'm dangerous. So that's what I reinforce. I reinforce, that this is a choice, because the walk is difficult. Making the walk to the cage for anybody is difficult. You talk to fighters and the different headspaces. Mike Tyson has a beautiful it's a YouTube video where he's talking over what it is like walking to, into the ring, and how his mental process changes and his psyche changes as he gets closer. So I kind of do something similar where you remind yourself of why you're doing it, and as long as you're centered in the why, I think you can be present.
For sure. Um, so I don't want to overstep my bounds in terms of like asking too much about what your what the game plan is going into the fight and everything. But is there anything you can tell us specifically about this training, what you're doing in this training camp that's maybe different than in the past?
So, so absolutely. Like, first off, if we just talk about my opponent, he's southpaw, so be prepared probably for southpaw, but he's well rounded. Besides that, he has power, so he can end it early, and he has conditioning, so he can be dangerous late as well. He has good striking with powerful hands, and he has good wrestling. Like looking at him, that's a fairly well rounded fighter. So in terms of preparing for that, it's not necessarily that there's a lot to exploit. It's not a great striker with who plays jujitsu but doesn't have wrestling. Okay, maybe wrestle him, stay out of his guard so you don't get sucked. Like it's not that cookie cutter, and it's not that easy. So with this one, a lot of it is about me being sharp everywhere. Respecting what he does dangerously, and also reinforcing what makes us so dangerous. So a big thing this camp has been structure, being a 5-round fight as well. you know, you have to be more mindful of getting in enough work, but also not too much work. There's that fine line, and so getting that balance, I think, has been key. There's been a lot more planning, a lot more integration with my coaches, and that's not necessarily just for this fight. This is all fights going forward. Every camp we try to improve, and I'm excited to show off what those tweaks and improvements will show on fight night. It's all sunshines and rainbows doing it in training camp. Having great days in training camp, but it all matters how you put it together on the big stage. And I think how I've structured this training camp, it's going to translate very well. My last fight, it didn't. It was the camp. It was a nightmare camp. In all honesty, everything that could go wrong went wrong. This camp hasn't been quite a nightmare. It's been quite good, relatively speaking. But a lot of that comes down to better preparation this time. Preparing, 10 weeks out for exactly what camp's going to look like, and then when those problems occur, we can make fine-tuning adjustments.
For sure. So sorry, I'm not familiar with what happened with the last camp. What was the actual problems going into that one?
Oh, there was just personal stuff. There was some personal stuff. There was some, last minute visa issues. There was injuries. There was my coach being away for a good amount of time with Connor getting prepared for the third Dustin Poirier fight, and just COVID lockdowns open. Like it was basically nothing. If you just took that one thing in a vacuum, it wouldn't be a big deal. But it was just how it added up over time that we underperformed, and so I'm really excited to show off the version of me that we're seeing every day in the gym, and it just so happens to be for a world title at the same time.
For sure. Um, yeah. So I was gonna ask you your analysis on Kooheji, and you kind of already alluded to it that his well-roundedness is what makes him so dangerous, right?
Yeah.
Um, so aside from just making sure that you're ready in every area, is do you look at it more as sort of going into a fight, being prepared to contest with him everywhere, or is it something about being able to control where the fight goes? Like, is there something to I don't know. Again, I don't want to delve too much in your game plan because I don't want you to have to say that out before the fight. But is there anything else you can tell us about how you prepare for a fighter who, like you said, doesn't really have those holes?
I think it's both of what you said. You kind of get prepared everywhere and really dial in and make sure you're sharp everywhere. And part of that is being able to control where the fight goes. Obviously, if he shoots, we want to be able to deny that. If he wants to, stay striking, we want to be able to maybe take it to the ground. If same thing, if he wants to wrestle, keep it on the feet. Having those tools, all depending on how the fight goes, as well as is he going to come out hot and try to take me out in the first round? He's going to be walking out for his first world title fight with the home crowd support. Is that going to play a role? Is he going to come out hot, or is he going to come out trying to wear me down over 5 rounds? So it's one of those where I need to be prepared for everything. So we kind of prepare for every circumstance. And what that comes down to is a lot of focus on myself, not changing my style to fight any one opponent, but really taking what I do and making that exceptional. And then probably looking at what he does and trying to nullify it.
Is that a philosophy you take into all your fights that you don't look to sort of change your own style? It's always about it's never about changing your style to match the opponent. It's always just about developing.
Absolutely. From camp to camp, I tried. Well, I stay in the gym, so there's always this year-round development process going on, and then looking at specific opponents. Yeah, there's obviously some game planning. I think it takes little effort for potentially big reward, but at the same time, it's not completely changing your style. Like it's not okay. This fighter can't fight a southpaw, so now we'll change it southpaw. That then if you're not a natural southpaw, maybe stick to and that's an extreme case, right? But if you're not a great wrestler, then maybe don't necessarily try to wrestle. Really do what you do well, and that's what kind of the focus on all my fights has been: is what does my opponent do that's dangerous? What are their weaknesses? And then how can I maximize my skills to exploit those?
Gotcha. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. If I can just switch it up a little bit. I spoke
Absolutely.
I spoke to Mohammed Shahid a couple months ago, I think now. And he was telling me about what Brave plans to do in the future. And one of the things that he mentioned was a potential move into the US and Canada specifically. I was wondering if, since you've come over to Brave, have you thought about the idea that they would be moving into Canada and what that would mean to like kind of return to Canada as well?
Yeah, that would be very exciting for me. Normally, when there's a champion from a country, they like to bring it there. I know they went to the Philippines when the previous bantamweight champ, Stephen Lohman, was champion. They went to the Philippines almost solely for him. I believe they said in an interview. So I would like to be championing Brave on over to Canada. Or if they want to come over to Ireland itself, I'd love to be defending my belt here. They went up north to Belfast, but having it in Dublin, I think, would be special as well, since I've called Dublin home for the past number of years. But yeah, with it seems COVID ending, it seems more realistic than it did even a year ago. Last year, I believe after my Kazakhstan fight, I said, like, okay, let's go to. I'd like him to come to Canada, but obviously things have changed since then, and we're nearing the end. So it seemed like it was a long shot, but now it seems more like a reality. So I definitely like to be at the forefront of Brave expanding either to the US or Canada. I'd like to be on one of those cards for sure.
For sure. And everyone here in Canada is really hoping for it, I'll be honest. That's super exciting. Well, I don't need to take up any more of your time. I know you're busy in training camp. Obviously, you're at the gym. So thank you so much for doing this. I really, really appreciate your time.
Yeah, no, not a problem at all. I always appreciate the interest, and this fight's no different. So thanks a lot. I really appreciate it, guys.
All right, awesome. Good luck in March. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. Take care.